So today we're going to talk about my favorite TV show of all time, Avatar: The Last Airbender. This video is actually about book 1, which is the first season of Avatar. I have watched this show so many times. I'm not kidding. Just ask Rebecca. But honestly, I don't watch book 1 that often, like episodes from the first season. Mostly because I love book 2 and book 3 the most, so I don't go back to the first season that often. But now that I am on break, I can do whatever I want. So I went back to rewatch book 1. So here I am doing an entire video on the first season. So let's quickly talk about book 1. Book 1 is a great start to this show because it laid out the foundation. We're introduced to the characters, the world, the conflict, and how to defeat this war. So in this world, we have people who can bend or not bend elements. If you can bend elements, you can either be a waterbender, earthbender, firebender, or airbender. If you're not a bender, then you're just a non-bender. So in the first episode, Katara and Sokka, who are from the Southern Water Tribe, they find Aang, an airbender, in an iceberg. And then we also find out that Aang is the Avatar. The Avatar can bend all 4 elements, and also he and she is the bridge between the human world and the spirit world, and also he or she can go into the Avatar state, and that is important. But there's a war going on, and it's been going on for 100 years, started by the Fire Nation. Many people have suffered and died from this war, and now that Aang is back, because he's the Avatar, he must defeat the Fire Lord, and he must restore balance to the world. So if you don't know, book 1 is called Water, so Aang has to learn water bending. Now, I love this show. I have talked about this show so many times, but I always briefly mention it and then I just move along. But here I am doing an entire video dedicated to this show. Well, the first season. In this show, we talk about war, we talk about genocide, extinction of a culture, racism, and sexism. I also love how we're learning about the war at the same time as Aang in the beginning, because Aang has been stuck in that iceberg for 100 years. When he comes out, he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know that there's a war going on and that many people have died. So we learn about these things the same time as him, who is the Avatar, who's supposed to end this war. I won't talk about the characters honestly until book 3, because that's the last season, and I feel like it's best to talk about the characters and their character development in the very last season, because that's the point. So I'm just gonna talk about things that stick out to me the most. And honestly, if you haven't watched this show, what the hell are you doing? This show is kind of old, I'm not gonna lie. It came out in like 2005, ended in like 2008. But you have to watch this show. It's so good for so many reasons. It's been raved about for so long. This show is honestly a classic. It's truly a classic. I watch it like every fucking day. But yeah, it's really good. Go watch it if you have not watched this show. But if you have watched Avatar: The Last Airbender book 1, or like the entire show, and you just want to talk about it, stay, because we will talk about it. We will discuss what happened in this season. There we go. So goodbye to the people who have not watched this show. I'm judging you. If you have watched this show, stay so we can discuss. So let's go jump into the spoiler section. You've been warned. Katara is the only waterbender in the Southern Water Tribe. We have known about this for a while, but like, I don't know, it seems bad. Like, oh my gosh, she's literally the only waterbender, and you see how this war has affected so many people in so many nations too. Like, number 1, the Air Nation. Number 2, the Southern Water Tribe. Yeah, and then the Earth Kingdom a little bit. And then we're also introduced to Zuko, the antagonist. And honestly, the first 2 episodes I think are pretty damn good. Like, it's pretty promising that this show is gonna be awesome, because the end of episode 2 is just fantastic. We have that fight on the warship, and then how at the end when Zuko and Iroh shoot like a fireball at them, and Aang used his glider to like hit the fireball, so then it hits like a mountain of ice, and then the ice falls on the ship. Man, it's just good. It's just such a good fight scene, considering it's like the 2nd episode of the show. But then we also learn that Aang does not want to be the Avatar. That's why in the beginning he lies to Katara when she asks him if he knows about the Avatar or not. So then Aang, Katara, and Sokka visit the Southern Air Temple, and then Aang finds out that the Airbenders have been killed because of the Firebenders. It's heartbreaking in so many ways, because number 1, the end of a culture is scary to me. When I was young, I watched this and then I just didn't think too much of it, but now that I'm older, just thinking about it is scary. The Air Nation is on the brink of extinction. Aang is literally the last airbender. All of his people are gone. They've been killed off like years and years and years ago because of the firebenders. It gives me chills every time I watch that episode, you know, at the end of the third episode when he goes into the avatar state, because he's truly devastated. We all know that Sokka is like pretty sexist towards the beginning of this show. He always makes snide comments about girls, about the Kyoshi Warriors, about Katara, for God's sake. I really love when Suki calls him out for his bullshit and kind of embarrass him for it. He's undermining them because they're girls, but then they easily beat his ass. So to me, that was a pretty great scene, because even though, yeah, sometimes I like Sokka, I don't like the way he acts when he's being defeated. Because he's like, what, I can't be beaten because, you know, they're girls, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, you're not better than them just because you're a boy. Don't think that, you know? It's sexist. And then we also meet Boomy, who is Aang's old friend. He's the king in Omashu. So that episode, Imprisoned, the Fire Nation forbids earthbending. Like, the Fire Nation is truly awful. Like, they got rid of the air nomads. They took waterbenders from the Southern Water Tribe, and that's why Katara is literally the only waterbender in the Southern Water Tribe. And then we see that they also oppress earthbenders by taking them away, you know, from their family. So after a while, we just don't know what the hell is going on at this point, because like, Aang is the Avatar, but how is he going to save the world? Because remember, 100 years have passed. We don't know much about the Avatar. So then we learn that Aang can actually see Avatar Roku, who is the Avatar before him. Man, it's so amazing to see Avatar Roku in that episode. Avatar Roku. That's the name of the episode. And then we also learn that Sozin's comet is coming at the end of the summer, and Fire Lord Ozai will use that comet to finish the war once and for all. I think my favorite scene of that episode is when Aang becomes Roku and just firebends as like those sages and Zhao. Fucking Zhao. Anyway, just seeing Roku kicking ass is amazing. So then of course we meet new characters, we meet Jet, and we kind of see just how this war shaped people in a really negative way. Like Jet, he's not from the Fire Nation, but inside him, he just absolutely hates anyone who is from the Fire Nation. Like in that episode, he's willing to kill innocent people just to get rid of like the people from the Fire Nation. And then we also learn that not everyone from the Fire Nation is bad. Like, yes, they started the war, but honestly it's because of the Fire Lord. So then this episode, The Storm, I think this is one of the best episodes of book 1, definitely, because number 1, we learned about the backstory. Like, how the hell did Aang get into an iceberg, and how is he in there for 100 years? What the hell? To me, a good story always needs a backstory. So in this episode, we get it. So in the flashback, we see Aang with a bunch of kids, but like, he's the only kid with an airbending tattoo. That means that he's like the master of airbending. Something like that, I forgot. He was told that he was the Avatar when he was only 12. You're supposed to tell them when you're 16. But the reason why they told him, because there's a war going on and they need him. Once his status has been revealed, many people treated him differently, like his friends, and not just that, the monks too. And the reason why Aang ran away, because he was about to be separated from Monk Yatso, but then he ran away, he caught in a storm, and then he went into the Avatar state, created an iceberg around him and Appa, and then 100 years have passed. And honestly, the most heartbreaking thing is that he blamed himself for this. He blamed himself for the war, he blamed himself for the extinction of his people. He blamed everything on him. It's heartbreaking because he's so damn young and he's carrying this burden. Because number 1, it's because of him, their Air Nation is almost gone. It's because of him, this war has been going on for 100 years. And now that he's back, he needs to learn, you know, the other elements. He needs to master the Avatar state. He needs to defeat the Fire Lord at the age of 12. 112, I guess. But then also we get Zuko's backstory of how he got the scar. And honestly, watching the flashback is sad, because in the flashback, Zuko was like a happy child, but then he spoke out of terms. Zuko had to duel his father, but he respected his dad, and you know, he didn't fight back, so he got the scar. So now he's been sent out, you know, to capture the Avatar, to regain his honor, you know. Okay, let's talk about this dipshit Zhao. I fucking hate him. The episode, the Blue Spirit episode, is actually pretty awesome because we get to see Aang and Zuko, you know, fighting together, but we didn't really know it was Zuko until the end. But I knew because I watched the show so many times. So like I said, Aang is supposed to learn water, earth, then fire. But he didn't really master water yet, but then he jumped right into fire, and it has repercussions because he ended up burning Katara. So now the ending. The last 3 episodes are all taking place at the Northern Water Tribe. We finally get to the Northern Water Tribe. We're finally gonna get a teacher for Aang and Katara. And then we find out that Pakku is sexist, that this culture of only teaching men waterbending, and for women they just learn healing. Because what? Women learning how to fight and waterbend? No, that's ludicrous. And I'm so glad that we have Katara, this really strong female character who stands up to what she believes in. Like, what the hell is this bullshit of you only teaching male students and not me because I'm what, a woman? A girl, sorry. I forgot that they're only like teenagers, like they're fucking young. So yeah, we have Katara confronting Pakku and then they fight, but then we learn that her grandmother was engaged to Pakku years ago, but then she left because she didn't agree with this sexist culture. So there's that. But then you see Pakku accepting Katara eventually, but then like, I don't know, I think it's because her grandmother was like the love of his life. So but still, I'm glad that Katara is getting a waterbending teacher. So like I said, Zhao fucking sucks because he tried to get Zuko killed. So yeah. And honestly, when I was watching book 1, I was like, Zuko is barely in it. That's what I feel like. I don't know, it's just he's barely in the first season. But don't worry, we get book 2 and book 3, so it's okay. So the Fire Nation is invading the Northern Water Tribe, and just seeing how Aang, like again, he's carrying this burden of saving the world, but he's just a child. He's literally only 12. I feel bad when people are like, you must do something because you're the Avatar, and he's like, but I'm just a kid. Like deep down, I'm just one kid. I don't know much about being the Avatar. So the scene where Zuko takes Aang into that like a snowy place, what the hell were you thinking? How did you think that was a good idea? Like, I don't know, I have watched this episode millions of times, but the whole time I'm like, Zuko, like where are you gonna go? Like, it looks like it's literally just snow. There's no warm place. There's no exit. I don't know. It's just like, why do you think that's a good place to go? So anyway, Zhao wants to kill the moon spirit. That plan kind of failed. Well, he succeeds, but then he fails. So yeah. And then he gets taken by the moon spirit. I'm pretty sure he dies. I know that because, you know, I know the future. So at the very end, honestly, hearing Pakku calling Katara Master Katara, it makes me smile every time. I'm like, oh, look at that. So yeah, we ended on a pretty happy note. Like, Aang defeats the Fire Nation a little bit, but then again, Sokka's girlfriend turned into the moon spirit. I'm sorry for laughing. So that is book 1 for Avatar, The Last Airbender. Next, of course, is book 2, then book 3, yada yada yada. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye!